Salutations and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another game in the Living World of Darkness, Changeling the Dreaming 20th Anniversary Edition. Today we are meeting in Manhattan, of all places, where a new member of House Beaumain has been brought. Fortunately, the Baroness Mariposa is covering for Alice while she slips out of Queens for a little bit to help handle these affairs. And as she walks in through the freehold with Ephraim, a smile on her face. She is dressed for the occasion in a beautiful blue sundress with little straps over her shoulders that likely do nothing except act as ornamentation, and a petticoat beneath, kind of giving it a bit of flounce. They walk into the regal halls, the beautiful marble statues, the wonderful works of art. It is the dreaming. And Alice, for once, looks refreshed compared to the last time Ephraim saw her, practically buzzing with energy. So, welcome to Manhattan's baronial freehold.
Um, it's different from what I've seen. Um, what's he like?
Well, kind, straightforward, a little easy to tease, cute, has that kind of glee type quality. Um, but cut from marble, you know, just with all that's happened, he's had to grow up faster.
What do you mean?
Uh, it wasn't something we could really talk about without touching on some emotions, but everything started with the Ranters. His father was the Count and he died. There were attacks on our own wedding. We lost friends. The Ranters are dealt with now, but that's a very difficult start for a Baron. And then Brooklyn um, was very much against his placement into the position. We had to prove ourselves to the Count, to the commoners in our own barony, to the baronies beyond. So it wasn't easy. And I mean, he's just 19.
At least we have something in common.
Hmm. Well, that and both of you are pretty cute.
He'll look and like he doesn't know how to respond to that, and he'll just kind of wiggle his nose. Like, well then.
Kind of the same. You know, you remind me of when he was starting out.
Do I?
Hmm. Trying to figure out your place, but still of a bold sense of confidence in whenever you take a step forward.
I guess that's a part of who I am. At least that's as much as I remember.
I'm sure
I,
you'll remember more.
I especially don't shrink from people.
I remember
Though,
shrinking from people.
really,
Well, things changed me too. An arranged marriage, my father in law dying, my husband coming under attack, both physically and verbally.
well, you're still here, so that speaks more about you than the situation.
she smirks. Well, I mean, I am invincible, so
He just looks and he kind of smiles and all right.
the commoner who married a she and became a baroness. It's like straight out of a fairy tale.
I mean, I have my own opinions about that, but we'll just leave it at that. I don't want to be disrespectful.
Well, we're not in the meeting yet, so you can speak your mind. If you're like many of the others, she, I assume it's you're not happy with my elevation.
I believe that your elevation, as long as you treat it with the respect that's due to it, I guess I can look past the other aspects I don't like so much. But I think that it's not so much that I have a problem with your elevation, it's just that I just believe that she are able. You know what I mean? It feels as if that she's supposed to be not necessarily tyrants, though that happens sometimes, but sort of like shepherds to a flock almost. And you're supposed to be more. You know what I mean? So to have, I guess, common to speak so freely that the she or this, the she or that, and just disrespectful, and that no one else was willing to take up the reins is that doesn't sit well with me. But that's more to do with the she than less to do with the commoners.
Not to mention, there's plenty of commoners who have received various titles over time. And I believe the way I received it wasn't too unorthodox. Arranged marriage and all that.
It's a little unorthodox seeing that I've heard of it, but I always thought it was just something that Fiona did.
Or Danan.
That was news to me, but I always thought that flights of fancy and I guess it's not to say that there isn't love, it's just a difference in power.
A difference in power.
For example, it's almost like you don't feel if that in a moment of anger or him not thinking clearly. Granted, I don't know him, but would he ever, I guess, impose his status in such a way? I mean, there's certain things that we can do that others can't.
Except I'm a baroness in more than just name. So, were he
No,
a count and I a baroness, I would agree.
no, you misunderstand. What I mean is
Oh, sovereign.
that I don't practice that, but willingly do.
So, if he tried, one, I would physically slap him. Two, I could physically slap him at that point because it's not really a secret, but I've mastered my art of pyretics.
It seems that you two have become very accustomed to one another.
It was it took some time. I mean, he was shy and okay, I was completely timid. I think most of what we did was mumble at each other at first.
I guess is what it seems. It's just that sort of the way I see knighthood and baronies, you're sort of married to your job, not to one singular person.
You're not wrong. We both have our responsibilities because of that marriage.
Maybe it'll just take more for me to understand, but I just feel it's different, almost too different to function.
Well, keep in mind, so I'm Shinto. I'm not a Westerner like the rest of you. So maybe my perspective is different, but in royal or noble marriages, there's a certain responsibility and duty that each person has. The husband has the job of going out, you know, fighting, being a samurai, dying with honor, and then I, as a dutiful wife, would be there to stand behind him, remind him, comfort him, advise him, take care of his lands while he's away, and then chide him mercilessly if it turns out that he came back um, without the flag or heads of his enemies.
Speaking from the Baptist point of view, I would say that man and wife or just relationships, you're supposed to be yoked together. In so much, think of it as two individuals that are able to pull the same load. But it seems as if um, I already have my own opinions of what if she is and what it's not. And maybe that's the issue. But maybe you guys do. And I'm not sure. Like I said, I have to see more.
Well, regardless of your opinions, we're here.
I wish I had something proper to wear, but I guess this will do.
We'll we'll get you what you need. And she will um let the guards open the door, walk in. Baron Sebastian at Beaumain, I present to you the newest knight to make his way into our barony. Sir, she realizes he never gave a last name while she was around. Sir Ephraim?
Bishop.
Sir Bishop at Beaumain, newly arrived into our gray world.
Sebastian smiles. He holds his hand out to to Ephraim and to shake it.
Um, he's not used to a baron being so formal, but he'll avert his eyes and then sort of like take his hand and sort of like this really awkward bow, like, oh.
Yeah, he's not used to a Baron being like that. That's great. Yeah, he does still, have some informal qualities about him for sure. But
Mhm.
mm, But yeah, he'll shake his hand and he'll say, "I've heard about you. It is great to meet you."
Thank you, your great. Thank you, your grace. Um, thank you for receiving me.
He nods. Of course. So you are brand new to the gray world. How are you finding it so far?
Uh, he if Ephraim could try to hide the look of absolute confusion on his face, like
Right? I mean, he can if you would like to roll Manipsep. You
I
completely
don't think
can.
he physically can. It's just like everything's fine, awkward. But like no, he has this confused expression on his face. It's been an ordeal.
He'll um he'll nod and definitely understand that. I remember when I had my chrysalis. Been a few years, but I remember being absolutely confused, even being somewhat prepared for it, as my father, both my parents um, are she. So my father was the count here. He sadly passed away recently due to injuries he sustained from my wedding being attacked.
I'm sorry.
We have a new count. His name is Leon of House Fiona. He is a lion puka.
You just see like
Yep. Sebastian is even like, mm-hmm. I figured that I would warn you before you had the chance to meet him that he is a puka.
he looks to he looks to Alice and he says no disrespect.
But
You know that that's always followed by something completely disrespectful. She says, turning towards him, crosses
yeah,
her arms, and tilts her head, waiting.
just
He doesn't say anything. It's just that he believes that the gas was just enough. It was just like
mm-hmm. No, Sebastian nods. He kind of expected that reaction out of a newly returned she. Um,
seems like they give those away like candy these days. Um, is it his own or is it like an arranged marriage?
No, he came from. Uh, have you heard the term Florida?
Yeah.
He came from Florida, and apparently down there earned his way through the ranks.
He sighs. It's another long sigh. It's just like, oh boy, things have changed. I thought it was just an isolated thing.
had I had a bit more experience under my belt, I would have claimed the county, but I felt that it was not the best decision at the time to become a count. Perhaps one day I will make a claim for it, but
Um, Okay.
He has
So we have Leo,
mhm.
and he's not terrible. But he
But
is
you mm,
indulging a bit more than I would have liked in the demands of the newly formed uh, government in Brooklyn, which they seem to have made me a target.
and definitely don't do the any no disrespect meant, because he has a very he wields his reputation like others wield swords.
I've seen that's become sort of a present company excluded, a very awkward circumstance.
He
I know.
because I got wind of how he and the rest of the council in Brooklyn treated or didn't treat the former court over there. I have been made a target because I spoke out against them and they didn't like what I had to say because they disregarded those that were kicked out of the baronial freehold. The They didn't make sure that they had another place to go. They they didn't do anything. They had one uh, former, I believe she was a knight, working in the governor's bakery as I think a dishwasher.
Uh, he clenches his fist.
Mm. So I spoke out against it, and I told, I made an announcement that any who wished to come over to Manhattan, they would have a place in my court. They could work in my guard if they were guards. They could join my court as squires and knights. They wished to do so. If they were unhappy with the treatment that they were receiving from the Council of Brooklyn. I did not explicitly say that they were mistreating them. I just said, if you are unhappy with your treatment, you have a place in my freehold, which I thought fair. But they didn't like that because they don't want to look like, I guess they don't want to look, he'll air quote, bad, but
Oh, so Ephraim just says commoners. What?
right. Well, from what I've seen and what I've been hearing coming out of there so far is that they believe their work is finished, that they don't have to do any more work, and everything that they want should be handed to them. Shakes his head. They're just becoming what they don't like, and that irks me to no end. And they've forgotten that they wouldn't be where they are if I hadn't supported them in the beginning. And now I'm a target. It really makes me upset.
My love, you were a target way before Brooklyn. We both know William's not dumb enough to not notice how close Manhattan is to the ducal seat or even the heart of Concordia. If he wants to get to them, eventually, this would have been a stepping stone.
So, anyway, I have been amenable to their demands for reparations for when I spoke out against them. Basically, because the Count said so. I wouldn't have handed them anything. I would have been like, so if you can't handle a few harsh words, you are not going to make it as a government. But he shrugs.
Well, the Count wants peace, and William
Peace
does
is
have an
never
army.
going to happen. Peace is never going to happen. Ever. That is a delusion. We can we can make compromises to try and make it to where we get along with each other. But as long as she keep being she and commoners keep being commoners, there's never going to be peace. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It's just there's only so much we can do to go against the dreaming.
Here, here.
Which is why we have to get fixed. Well, that's why I'm going to go speak with the
What I
Baku
would
today.
really just like is for not only the nightmares to stop, but for just William Black to shut his mouth and accept what he has done, what he is doing, and move forward with building his government instead of coming after me and any other person who he perceives as a slight against him. Because that is not getting anybody anywhere. What I have been doing is trying to make alliances outside of the official alliance with the other baronies, including the government of Staten Island, which I like what they're doing over there. I wish that the Brooklyn Council would model their government after what they did in Staten Island, but that's they're not going to listen to me.
Hmm.
Staten Island recently, he looks to Ephraim, recently suffered a loss. There was an event that caused pretty much the entire island to be on fire. The uh, the government freehold went up in flames. Um, the governor himself passed away recently, and his advisor was voted to take over his seat for the remainder of his term, which I believe is the next 2 years. Um, but Manhattan, he looks to Alice. As far as I know, we're the only ones that reached out without being prompted to help. Because we believe that everybody deserves to be helped when they need it. If you are in crisis, we should be there to take care of our own. That is what good leaders do. So we reached out, we helped, and we gained a valuable alliance for it.
Do you remember that charity concert a while back?
Vaguely.
That was that was all for them. That way they would have money to rebuild. Fortunately, they don't have to rebuild the freehold. That I handled personally.
You did a good thing.
I did what I'm supposed to do. I mean, I am a baroness. That means I have a responsibility. Regardless if my kith is commoner or she, I'm still part of the nobility now.
I wish the others saw it like that instead of a badge of I'm more important than you.
You'll find that me and the others split on our opinions a very long time ago. They think I'm biased because I just happen to have a husband who's a she.
Well, bless their hearts.
What does bless their hearts mean?
Mm.
Sebastian smiles. He actually knows. He actually knows that that phrase. That is a uh, is a southern
Hmm.
term for it, it is sarcastic, although some people just take it as a nice gesture, but it is pretty much to indicate how stupid somebody is by saying, "Oh, bless their hearts," or "Have you heard, you poor sweet summer child?" That kind of that kind of insult to indicate stupidity or naivety among somebody.
Because saying things outright like that is just rude.
Indeed, he nods. Sure is.
Thank you for explaining. I'm. I don't know, Sir Bishop, if I've explained it before, but English is not my first language.
He nods. It was more so directed at them. It was, um, people don't stop becoming people just because they're married. But again, I digress.
People don't stop being people, whether they're she or commoners either, and I don't understand why they disagree with me on that sometimes. To be a little sappy, it's what's on. She looks over at Sebastian with a broad smile. What's on the inside that counts? So, is there anything we can do for you, Sir Bishop, other than, as requested, getting you a new set of clothes?
Uh, um, I'm not sure what the next step is, but
Well, do you
Well,
need a place to stay?
I don't want to impose.
There's
no
plenty of
imposition at
room
all.
here. Exactly.
um, thank you. What do you require of me in return? Assuming nothing's for free.
Don't cause any trouble like breaking the sheet or stabbing people.
If I didn't stab Misha from back talking me, I think I can, tolerate other people.
Alice is there
Sebastian
just
loses it.
once
Oh my
more.
god.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, he realizes the slip of tongue and he just kind of puts his hands over his mouth like, whoops, getting used to that.
Sebastian shakes his head. It's perfectly okay. You are safe to speak freely here in front of me and my wife. It's fine.
We extend hospitality to anyone who lives in Manhattan or wants to live in Manhattan. Um, People passing through, we're a little bit more wary because of the recent events, but
I
considering
would like
everything,
to. He looks to Ephraim. I would like to officially make you a knight in my court. I believe we would work very well together.
Um, Gee, that's rather quick.
Drugs.
Um,
I like what I've seen so far, and I'm not one to drag things out.
and to be honest, we've had some vacancies due to
Some vacancies.
politics,
what do
lots
you
of
mean?
politics.
What exactly do you mean?
Um,
Hmm.
well, due to my own actions, I was I have been remanded to the care of the Barony of Queens until such time as the Count feels that my presence um, in Queens is no longer required. And then the other person who was a ranking member within this barony was Sir Cararis, and he accepted the most generous position as the knight to the Count himself. So he left. Um, we have some
Hmm.
experienced knights in our service.
They used to be under the Baron of Brooklyn. There were ones that came over from my offer, but I would definitely like. I honestly want the company of somebody from my own house and who shares a few of the same viewpoints that I do. So,
Alice is emphatically nodding her head. And as much as he shares opinions with me, I'm not of his house. So,
nope.
though, considering how things have been going, I believe we should perhaps readdress some discussions, she says, looking back at him.
Yeah, he raises a brow and kind of gives a slight nod, like, mm-hmm.
That could be at a later date and time.
Mm-hmm. He nods.
And additionally, you said you are without a weapon presently. Yes?
Yes, correct.
Well, we can't, if you're willing to accept the oath, we can't have you going around unarmed. She says, I might know where I could find a sword.
Your offer is generous. However, I think it would be best if you saw more of me and so much as my services. I rather want to be able to conduct myself as such and do the house proud. I hope that's not disrespectful.
Sebastian shakes his head. No, not at all. I was actually going to say you don't have to take the oath today. I just wanted to make it known that I would like you to be a knight in my court.
But once I get more of my bearings and cracks his knuckles and I feel more like myself, It would be my pleasure.
He'll nod. That is completely fair. You are brand new to this world. I can understand needing an adjustment period. And you may, of course, stay here if you wish. If not, you don't have to. But the freehold is open to you.
And if you're looking for a chance to flex your muscles a bit, this evening there's going to be a meeting between individuals to speak with the Baku, half of the problem plaguing our city.
That would probably be a good thing for you to go to. Sebastian will nod.
Then I should handle that. At least see what can be done.
He
Sounds
nods and
great.
smiles.
That said, she will take the cross off of her chain, take the chain off of her waist, and present the sword out to him perpendicular with the ground. Oh, sorry, parallel with the ground.
Um, Out of character, are you expecting an oath right now or
Nope.
no?
Nope, she's just
Oh,
offering you a sword.
gotcha.
Just giving you a sword.
He'll take it.
It was a sword given to me by a dear friend. Use it in good health.
I plan on it.
Sebastian smiles softly.
Hmm. I Is it a thing here where are Arcadian she not liked here?
He shakes his head. We Here we see really no difference. A she is a she.
Hmm.
I don't have any biases against Arcadian she myself, so I find them fascinating. I had I had one, two, three as knights. He's like, how many did I have? He had Charles, he had Christian, and he had Trin. All three were Arcadian she. So yeah. I've had three Arcadian she as knights under me. So definitely no dislike here.
He nods.
So Alice, why don't you go get him settled? And I'm sure he needs to rest. It's been an exciting few days.
By your leave,
He nods.
Sir Bishop, if you'll follow me.
He follows.
And I think that's a great place to end the scene.
I agree. All right. Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you for watchers for watching. This concludes another game of Changeling to Dreaming.